All right, it's mid-March and Tiff wants the yearly maintenance done on this boat. It's something that I've had people do for me in the past. It's just one of those things that really doesn't make any sense because it's way too expensive. I have to wait way too long to get it back, and it really doesn't make any sense since I can do it myself. I've got a oil change kit from Amazon. It's a Yamaha oil change kit. Comes with filters, crush washers, gaskets, oil, whatever you need. I do also have oil for the lower unit. We're going to change that as well. Not doing spark plugs. Recommendation on spark plugs in this thing is something like every 200 hours, and I've been changing them every year since I bought it new, and it only has 260 hours on it. I had like 235 or 240 on it last summer when I got it back from getting the idle air control valve fixed, but we only put maybe 30 or 40 hours on it last year. So leave the spark plugs alone, change the oil filter and the fluids, the water fuel separator filter. I've got the big camera out today. I'm going to do some filming on it because it's windy. We have about a 10 or 12 mile per hour sustained wind with gusts up to about 20. With this camera, I can use this remote mic, and hopefully it's working. It seems to be working as I set it up. I know it's not optimal filming conditions because the skinning shed points almost due west and the sun is behind me. But I had to wait until this afternoon to do this because while we were in the 80s last week, this week, today is going to be the warmest day. It's 71, and the rest of the days are going to be in the low to mid 50s. We had summertime, but winter came back. So I had to do this in the afternoon. That's the reason why the sun's straight behind me right now. I had to wait till it's warm enough to work on it because it's just too cold out here and I had other things to do. Again, this is the kind of stuff we're doing right now, and the fishing videos are coming, but stuff like this has to happen first. And maybe, hopefully, you'll see something that you didn't know. I know there are a lot of videos out there about doing maintenance on boat motors, but this video will be geared more towards the people who are beginners, maybe first-time boat owners, not necessarily the people who have advanced technical skills, but somebody who is capable and is fairly mechanical and just wants a quick video on how to do their maintenance. So the first thing I'm going to do is check this oil filter. I'm not sure I got the right one with the kit. You could get the kit with different ones, but I couldn't see the letters on this oil filter, and I didn't want to twist it off and not be able to get it back tight. So I'm going to check that first to make sure I do have the correct oil filter. So all I'm going to do is turn this one a little bit so I can see the lettering on it. Make sure the Yamaha oil filter wrench that I ordered fits. All right, so the oil filter that I think it was a 5GH 13440-71, and we're about to find out if that's the real part number or not. Yep, that's it. 5GH 13440-71. Don't know if you can see that or not. So that is the correct oil filter. There's also a 7.2. I don't know that it matters. But what I'm going to do is tighten that back down so I can drain the oil. I just wanted to make sure before I dumped all the oil out that I had the right oil filter. All right, so I've got everything here now. I've got the engine back up, and this is the Yamaha oil change kit, and we'll talk a little bit more about it to when we get to that point. But I've got the engine tilted all the way up so that I can break this oil drain plug loose, which I just did off camera, and somebody had it torqued to about 100 foot-pounds. This gets torqued to 20. So, and there is a crush washer behind it. So I'm gonna try to get the bolt and the crush washer out before I tilt it back down. I'm gonna use a hose to run it down to my catch pan here. It fits right in there. And hopefully it stays. So I'm holding my thumb over the end of it.
I'm gonna cut it.
Awesome. It came out. That is just fantastic. Because someone over tightened this. I couldn't get it off in time to hold my hose to get everything down here. That is just absolutely fantastic. Something else on here that was done improperly. This is the kind of stuff that happens when you take it to mediocre shops. There's no point in that oil filler cap being that tight. Once again, it's hard to find a good mechanic. Somebody has, whoever worked on this the last time, I'm not going to call out the name of the place, but they just torqued everything, even the oil filler cap. They probably put a pair of pliers on it and just torqued it as hard as they could. It's absolutely unnecessary. Go by the torque specs in the owner's manual, and something like an oil filler cap, just get it tight. All right, so what I'm going to do now is get this oil filter. And you can buy these oil filter wrenches that fit these engines. I'm going to put a rag underneath that. Make even more of a mess here. Not too bad, but all right, so there's nothing in there really except for the O-ring on the filter. And honestly, I believe this filter was also over torqued by a long shot. In this oil change kit that I bought off of Amazon, we have 4 quarts of Yamaha 10W30 FCW4M, which is what the owner's manual calls for this engine. Now you can get kits with 2 quarts, I think, or 3 quarts. You can get kits with 5 quarts. You can get kits with 6 or 8 or whatever. But mine calls for a little over 2. I'm going to put one on the shelf. Actually, 2 and 1 and a piece on the shelf. So it also comes with this oil filter. And you order it, the kit is specific, so you can order it with that oil filter and 3 quarts, or that oil filter and 5 quarts, or whatever you need. Comes with a funnel. And it does come with a new crush washer that has to be torqued to 20 foot-pounds, not 120. And it comes with a sticker so you can remember when you change it. I change mine yearly. I'm going to get you in here and show you real close. This O-ring is pre-lubricated, so you don't have to pre-lubricate. You can put oil in here if you like, but it goes in like this, so it's going to be hard to keep much oil in it without spilling it. Just going to put a little bit in it, not much. Try that, see if I can get it in there without spilling it. Kind of let it soak into the filter here. And what I'm doing is just pouring it in and kind of letting the filter soak it up. You can actually feel it soaking it up. It's getting heavier. So you can do this. You just don't want to overfill this filter and pour it all over the engine. You just want that paper element in there to soak up that oil. I'm just going in a little at the time, rolling it around, letting that element soak it up. I've poured probably, I don't know, maybe half a cup of oil or less in it. It's just barely quit soaking it up. So since this is pre-lubed, which is why they wrap the end of it, I'm just going to put it straight on. Get it hand tight for now. This oil filter gets torqued to 13 foot-pounds. I guess that's 13 right there. Can't get it off with your hand, for sure. I'm going to reinstall the oil drain plug with the new crush washer. All right, I got my torque wrench set to 20 foot-pounds. I'm gonna go up where I can get a little better angle here. So I'm gonna level it back off. All right, hope you can see what I'm doing here. So, like I said, this kit comes with a funnel. And boy howdy, that oil did need changing. Look how pretty that new oil is. So I'm one of those guys that likes to try and get every drop out because I paid for every drop that's in this bottle, and this stuff is not cheap. Although this kit wasn't super expensive. I want to say it was like 58 bucks or 64, somewhere between the two. Alright, so your oil dipstick is actually on the right hand side of the engine. It is right there where that yellow dot is. So I'm going to level it out a little more and check. This is going to work out closer to about 2¼ quarts, or like 2.25 instead of 2.1. It's really hard to see because it's clean, but it is nearly to the top there. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is the lower unit. And hopefully I won't make quite as big of a mess, but I do have a little bit of a mess here I need to clean up first, so I'm going to do that first off camera. All right. So on the lower unit, you can see there is a fill hole here, and there is also a crush washer behind it. Way down here, right there. If you
you can see that with the light we have here, but there is a drain hole. So you're going to open this first before you open the top one. And the reason being is, if you keep this one closed, then this doesn't just all come pouring out at once. And there's absolutely nothing coming out. So that's the bottom right there. There we go. So now you get flow out of the bottom because of the top screw being open, and it doesn't look bad. Looks like it has a little, maybe has a little sheen to it, like it's got some metal in it, but it's definitely been blacker. I'm going to tilt this up a little bit and let it drain. There is a crush washer right there. We need to make sure we get out. I do have new ones. There's also one up here, and it came out with it, which is great. And these nuts are different sizes, and the bottom one is a little longer, so you can't get them mixed up. So I'm going to tilt up a little bit and drain some of this. And I'm going to let this drain for a while off camera because it is thick. It's 80W90, so it's going to take a minute here. All right, so this is the kit. That it's not really a kit. You have to buy this stuff individually. I guess I haven't looked on Amazon for it. I bought this a while back at a Yamaha dealer, but this is what you need for the bottom end. Here are the seals, or crush washers rather, that go with those screws. These are the new crush washers, and those screws, the upper and the lower, get torqued to 5.2 foot-pounds. So this is Yamaha gear case lube. 80W90 is what it specs for this engine, and this is just sort of a universal kit for filling it. So you're going to screw this, whichever one of these adapters fits the bottom, you're going to screw it to the bottom hole, pump it up through the top hole, and then put your top screw back in, put your bottom screw back in, then torque both of them. So we're going to do that right now. Screw it all the way up. It has an O-ring on it to seal it up.
So the kit comes with this extender tube, just in case you have a huge bottle of this stuff. What I'm going to do is just punch a hole with it. All right. So now I'm going to screw this onto it. All right, so I'm going to level the motor back out. We're going to watch for it to come out of this drain hole. So we're going to pump until it comes out of the hole right here. And I apologize for losing so much light. I just had phone calls to deal with here. And it's not supposed to take a whole quart. I can't remember exactly what it takes. So you can actually cut this to length, I guess, fit in here. I'm going to need to do that because I am out of range here on this thing. Yeah, this might be about right. All right, let's try that.
All right, so now that we've got our tube cut, we're drawing oil again. All right, there we are, and it is full. So what I'm going to do is just pump a little bit more out. I'll try to keep it clean though. Just going to pump a little extra. Try and just clean out any nasty oil that was in there. As you can see, we're getting a little bit of nasty stuff out of there. Not much. So what I'm going to do now is put this top screw back in. This is a new crush washer, whatever you want to call it. So I've got that tightened by hand. I'll torque it later. And what this will do is it'll give you enough time to get the screw in the bottom once you unhook this pumping system, so that it doesn't all come pouring out on you. But you want to have your gasket and your screw ready. All right, so I've got my screw ready. I'm putting my new crush washer on it. And I'm going to unscrew this together so I can get it in there as quickly as possible. Put that right back in there. I've got this thing buttoned up, but I'm going to torque it to the spec. And the manual says to torque it to 5.2 foot-pounds. I think I got it tighter than that, but I'm going to see. I already have my wrench set. That's crazy. I thought I had it tighter than that, but okay. So I've got it tilted up so I can get to the bottom one a little easier. I'm going to torque that one as well. It's the same spec, 5.2. All right, and that's it. That's as tight as they need to be. If you're torquing them down to like 10 or 12 foot-pounds, it's twice as much as they need to be torqued. Really, don't over-torque your stuff. All the stuff is aluminum and stainless, and it just does not require 80 foot-pounds on anything, really, that we've done today. We've got the engine taken care of. I'm not going to change the fuel water separator filter in here. There's a huge one here that I'm going to change. This one makes the most difference. I may order one later and change the one that's under the bonnet here, but for right now, I'm for sure going to change this one in the back of the boat. All right, I'm going to get in here and probably switch to the other camera, and we're going to change this fuel water separator. I think this one is way bigger than what I have. Yeah, it is for sure. Wow, that one's way smaller. So they changed my fuel water separator year before last, and now they've changed the size of the filter. That is awesome. So this isn't going to work. They reinstalled a new one here for me year before last. Redid all these lines. When they did, they totally changed this setup. So now the filters that I have, and I keep them on the shelf in here, those filters will no longer work with this setup. They're too small. They're way smaller than this one. Now this may be better, but it still needs to be changed. So what I'm going to have to do is get the part numbers off of this, order a new one, and reinstall a new one here, because they used a totally different setup from my old setup. So that's going to be the end of this video, but you see what I have to do here. So I'm going to do that off camera. I'm going to grease all the grease points off camera, and this boat will be ready to go fishing. So it's getting late now. I'm going to call it a night, but the next video you see will probably be a fishing video. I've got 1 or 2 more projects I need to get done around here, not the least of which is Frankenstand, and that's going to be a pretty big one, and we've got to get him back together and put up. But I hope this helped somebody. If you would please like and subscribe, give it a thumbs up, share, and go watch some of the other videos that I'll pin over there, over there, over there. I think you'll really enjoy some of the older fishing videos and hunting videos, and it helps the channel a lot. We want to try to get to 1,000 subscribers this summer, and if we do, we're going to have a pretty nice giveaway for that. So just make sure you're subscribed and share this with your buddies. And thanks a lot for watching.